Ed, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear. Yep.
Outstanding. Liam,
bit of a delay there, Ed. I was just asking, what's the change in police response to a school shooting like this now versus what it was in the past?
Well, Liam, you know, this is another tragic day for our country. The response to a school shooting changed dramatically after Columbine. We recognized that it was no longer possible for us just to secure the perimeter of the school and wait for the SWAT team to get there. People's lives hang in the balance in these cases. So our officers are now trained to proceed to contact. In other words, to listen where the gunshots are coming from, to assemble a small number of 2 or 3 officers, and to move to contact for that suspect. And that's what happened here, clearly. The first responding officers made entry to that school, and unfortunately they weren't able to find the individual until some time later. But that quick action can oftentimes save lives.
And I'm curious, you know, we've been looking at these live pictures of the school. What's happening inside right now? There have to be, or one would assume there could be, students who are still hiding in there who are terrified to come out.
Right, Lisa. This is a campus with 5 or 6 buildings on it, and when you think about it, it's important that the SWAT team go to contact first, and then secure the area and determine if the suspect is there. Their next job is literally to go room by room, closet by closet, and to clear those rooms. And what I mean by clearing is they put 4 or 5 officers together. They'll go and with weapons drawn, enter into the classrooms, into the closets, and check every single place where someone may be hiding. It will sometimes take hours to do that, and that's what's going on right now, clearly.
And it's such a big school, as we've been hearing. CBS Miami is reporting that the medical examiner is still walking through the building at this time. As of right now, we know that at least 7 people have been killed. Ed, we have 18 school shootings so far in 2018, according to Everytown USA, 300 since 2013. What are we not doing as a society to try to prevent this?
Our public officials send their condolences after something like this, and they talk about how sad they are and how no one should have to suffer through this. But the truth of the matter is, no one is doing anything about it. There needs to be common sense legislation to reduce the number of firearms that are in the hands, especially of mentally ill individuals. That's what we find in these cases. It's that combination of guns and mental health issues that are driving this. And as a society, for some reason, we can't get our hands around it. We need action. We're not protecting our children.
You know, Ed, we don't have confirmed the identity of this suspect, but I want to ask you from a law enforcement standpoint, what's happening right now? What kind of social media would investigators be scrubbing as they make a case against a suspect that is alive, and we understand at a medical facility now in South Florida?
Right. My read of the ongoing facts on this thing is that officials got the name of the suspect pretty quickly, probably from classmates that saw him. At that time, their intelligence operation started to scrub all of his social media outlets and all of his postings, and they'll also send investigators out to speak to his friends and acquaintances and his family members. All of that is going on right now. But the real key to this is his personal devices, his mobile devices, his iPad, his phone, his home computer. Those are the things that bear the most fruit, and that's what the investigators are going to be concentrating on. They need search warrants to do that. It takes a few hours to get that done, but by this evening, by midnight, they'll be heavily into the electronic stuff.
Ed, can you talk a little bit about the FBI's advice in a scenario like this for students? They say, run, hide, fight. That's their advice if you're a student who finds him or herself in this scenario.
Right. That was developed by the Department of Homeland Security after the Secret Service and the FBI did a lot of studies on shootings starting with Columbine and moving forward. And the run, hide, fight, you know, is similar to the drop and roll that we learned as kids around fire hazards. Unfortunately, shooting hazards have become the problem for our society right now. And the idea of getting away is really the first priority. The government wants to limit the number of potential victims, so running is very important to this. If you can't run and it's dangerous to run, then they want you to hide. And sometimes you can hide behind something that will stop a bullet. Other times you're just hiding yourself in a closet or something. And then finally, if all of those things fail, and nobody likes to talk about this, but there is a chance of charging the gunman and trying to disarm him. And you do see that happen on occasion. It is extremely dangerous, not recommended, but as a last resort, you have to fight, and you have to fight hard.
Ed, going forward, you know, we're seeing these pictures now that were recorded earlier of students either running or evacuating these buildings, and the trauma that they've suffered will stay with them for such a long time. What does this community need immediately? If you were going in there right now and you could sort of counsel them on the needs that they'll have, you know, in the days and weeks ahead of them, what would you say?
Well, they need an immediate response from psychiatrists and psychologists who can help them through the post-traumatic stress that they're all experiencing. If you saw that video of the gunshots being fired so close to that microphone, you get a sense for what it's like in that environment, and we don't see a lot of that. So that could be an important part of this. But psychiatrists, the political figures need to coordinate the outpouring of help from the American community. America is a very generous place that will be sending resources. That needs to be coordinated by, you know, attorneys and politicians, and all of that stuff needs to happen so that the victims can make it through this problem. But it really is all about the victims right now and helping them get to a place where they can put this behind them.
WBZ security analyst Ed Davis joining us live just now. Thank you so much for that. And we want to get you an update. Nicholas Cruz, just moments ago, has been named as the shooter in this mass shooting at a school in Parkland, Florida. That's
right. The sheriff there in Broward County was saying he was aware earlier this was a former student. Other students apparently described him, knew who he was, and some have reportedly suggested that they believed at some point that he may have posed a threat. If not formally, he was someone who was at least known to them. You're looking at this video shot earlier of kids evacuating that school. At least 7 people dead tonight.
We will be right back with much more here on WBZ.